Right. South Africa nil. It was the fourth place playoff at this year's African Cup of Nations. So South Africa nil, the Democratic Republic of Congo nil. So Bafana won 6-5 on penalty via penalty shootout. So this is actually the third time they go to a penalty shootout, and this is the second time they were lucky. So which means that South Africa now sealed third place spot, right, with the penalty shootout win. And Ronwen Williams, saved two penalties as South Africa triumphed, in a shootout against the Democratic Republic of the Congo to actually take third place at this year's African Cup of Nations, right? So South Africa, now they took third place at the African Cup of Nations finals, in Ivory Coast as they edged the Democratic Republic of the Congo 6-5 on penalties after a goalless draw at the Felix Houphouet-Boigny Stadium. So South Africa midfielder Teboho Mokoena hit the outside of the post, with the first kick. Before the next 8 efforts were all successful, leaving Democratic Republic of the Congo captain, Chancellor Mbemba needing to score to win the contest. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be, because Ronwen Williams was the hero once again for Bafana, actually securing a much-needed win and a much confidence booster for them following that defeat to Nigeria in the semi-finals. The South African goalkeeper Ronwen Williams, saved the effort of Mbemba, taking the shootout into sudden death, and then Williams then saved from Meshach Elia to win the tie for the South Africans. And from that particular moment in time, there was no extra time that was played in the bronze medal match, because which the Congolese dominated despite having proving to be poor in front of goal. They lacked so much composure in front of goal. I think the Democratic Republic of the Congo dominated, and they should have won this game. They should have won this game clear, hands down. But poor finishing by them, because you look at Silas Katumba. Silence Katumba could have, had 2 goals by now. He had 2 clearing chances, to actually put them ahead. First in the 8th minute when he was free, on the left, and he just had Ronwen Williams to beat, but his hesitation allowed the keeper to actually grab the ball in at his feet. And again, when Williams dropped a high ball in the box midway through the second half, without any pressure on him, Katumba again had an easier shot. I just couldn't believe it, man. It was just poor finishing, horrendous finishing by the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That was an easy chance. But he still wants to go at the near post where there are already 2 players that are blocking, and now he went side netting. It was just poor finishing from Congo, man. And 15 minutes later from the end, the Democratic Republic of the Congo striker, on form Braga, striker Simon Banza also had a clear sight on goal, but, he botched his effort from point-blank range. For a player who's amongst the top goal scorers in the Portuguese, league, you'd expect him to actually do so much better. I'm talking about Simon Banza. The Braga man. You would expect him to do much better. You would expect him to actually put that one into the back of the net, because he is one of the most, informed strikers in Europe. And again, remember the once-away striker, former striker, the striker that Kaizer Chiefs, who was on Kaizer Chiefs' radar not so long ago, Fiston Mayele, the substitute for the Democratic Republic of the Congo, did well, to actually bring a long ball down on his chest and get goals out of his marker. But he too, missed an effort in the 89th minute and went across, the face of goal. That was actually a great effort. He was just unlucky. And South Africa, who lost on penalties after extra time, in wins the semi-final to Nigeria, looked tired as they made only 3 changes to their lineup, while the Democratic Republic of the Congo gave an opportunity to all their reserves, with 9 changes from their midweek loss to Ivory Coast. And on Sunday now, the hosts Ivory Coast take on Nigeria in Abidjan to decide the continental title. So, yeah, it was pretty much a poor display from Bafana. From that great display over Nigeria, you would expect them to actually do much better. But look, I guess it's third place. It's better than nothing. And congrats to the boys, man. Once again, congrats to the boys. Bube Simpati Umhlaba right here. Welcome once again to Football is a Religion. Bube Simpati Umhlaba right here. Yeah, I know there's so many celebrations that are taking place in Abidjan. From Abidjan to Yamoussoukro, Yamoussoukro to Bouaké. Yeah, man, those are the major cities in Ivory Coast. I'm sure there's so many major celebrations that are taking place there, right? I'm sure the streets are filled with orange. I'm sure the streets are filled with orange, right? What an incredible end, to this year's African Cup of Nations in Côte d'Ivoire. And it produced one of the most remarkable fairy tales, right? I'm sure even if you're an Ivorian, from wherever you are, I'm sure whether you're in Paris, whether you're in London, whether you're in Manchester, New York City, Miami, Los Angeles, whether you're in Istanbul, whether you're in Milan, whether you're in Turin, Rome, Hong Kong, Beijing, Tokyo, Melbourne, New Delhi, Dubai, as well as Abu Dhabi, wherever you are, I'm sure you must be celebrating wearing your orange. You've rocked up at your workplace wearing your orange, to actually pay homage to your national team, to your country, for actually clinching their third African Cup of Nations title on home soil. Yeah, man, football is just incredible, man. I love football so much. That's why football is a religion, ladies and gentlemen. Football is a religion. Let me repeat it once again. Football is a religion. Because guess what, man? Nigeria won, Ivory Coast 2. And let me tell you something, guys. Ivory Coast produced a fairy tale ending to the most remarkable run at the African Cup of Nations, as guess who did it? Sebastian Haller's winner completed a 2-1 comeback win over Nigeria in the final, right? So the hosts, remember the host nation, they lost 2 of their group stage matches, and they even sacked their manager, John Cassette, John Cassette, right? And then they pulled off a penalty shootout win victory over defending champion Senegal, even booking an improbable place in the final. So, what an incredible run. What an incredible journey for the host, the Elephants, right? At first, it used to be like, this is the chunkless elephant. But look what happened. Resurrection. How do you resurrect? How does a sinking ship, find itself being able to resurrect itself? You understand? How does a sinking ship find itself in a situation where it's able to resurrect out of nowhere? Because just under 3 weeks after they were hammered 4-0 by Equatorial Guinea, to end the run of John Louis Cassette's reign and leave them on the brink of elimination, Ivory Coast served up another memorable night. You understand? So this time, it sparked wild celebrations in the capital, Abidjan, right? So they were very much the better side in the opening 45 minutes. Although Nigeria captain, William Trust Ekong's header, put them, which was basically against the run of play. And again, it speaks to the poor defensive unit of the Côte d'Ivoire defense, because it gave Nigeria the advantage at the break. And then the Super Eagles, had conceded just 2 goals on their run to the final. And, at the halfway stage, it looked destined to grind out another narrow win. Remember, Trust Ekong did, score the winning goal when these sides met in the group stages. And he also did score again in the semi-final win over South Africa. So that was basically his 3rd goal of the tournament, right? What an incredible tournament he has had. The Spurs graduate, the former Spurs, academy player. Remember, he's Dutch born. And that tally for Nigeria, would, be doubled, though, you understand? But Ivory Coast, they first drew level and then they moved in front, themselves. Frank Casey powered home a header of, his from a set piece, on the hour mark. And then Haller completed the turnaround with just 10 minutes remaining as he flicked a brilliant finish into the far corner, after yet more superb work by the Brighton Hove Albion winger, Simon Adingra. What an incredible game he was having, Simon Adingra. You understand? 2 assists. How many dribbles did that boy complete? He completed so many dribbles. I mean, Aina was having a torrid time at right back. He just struggled to contain Adingra. He just struggled. He struggled big time. And we saw Nigeria pushed for a late equalizer to send the match into extra time, but there was nothing, man. The Super Eagles didn't do anything at all. There was nothing. They had nothing, man. There was no late drama. whatsoever. You understand? Because Ivory Coast held firm. You understand? Now they've lifted their third African Cup of Nations, trophy, right? This time on home soil. And let's get straight into it. So you look at Nigeria's game plan. Their game plan was to okay, fine. What we're going to do is to absorb all the pressure, right? Absorb all the pressure, and then we let them attack, and then we're going to hit them on the counter. No. That kind of formation does not work. Not in a final and not against Ivory Coast. Because I don't understand. Pizarro, he's not a clever coach. You understand? He's not a clever coach, because you must always remember one thing about this Cote d'Ivoire side is that even though you score first, yes, you might score first, but that does not mean that you've won the game. I mean, this is a Cote d'Ivoire side that I'm sure you should have learned that even whether in the quarterfinals, you go back to the quarterfinal clash against Mali. This is a Cote d'Ivoire side that was down to 10 men for most parts of the game. And they still managed to come back from a goal down and actually secure victory with one man short. So imagine now with 11 players what they could actually do. You understand? So you can't tell me that now you're just going to score one goal and just, sit back and defend. No. That was the wrong game plan. Wrong. That was the wrong game plan. Wrong. It just shows that this coach is just not clever. He's not tactically aware. He's not a tactician, and he's not strategic. Because no, you don't do that, right? Because you could even see, even after they conceded an equalizer, you would expect Nigeria to actually go and want to score the second goal, but they were still, more than content with just sitting back and absorbing pressure. No. I mean, you're playing against Cote d'Ivoire, understanding the fact that they've got the 12th man. They've got the 12th man advantage to their credit, right? They're supported by the 12th man. And for the fact that the 12th man is on their side, that should give you more than enough reason to say, you know what, let's attack. Let's go pound for pound with these guys, right? Because we cannot just sit back and just absorb all the pressure. No, we need to go pound for pound with these guys. That's exactly what should happen, right? Like what Mali did in the quarterfinals. It's just unfortunate that Mali had themselves to blame. They just didn't have the clinical. They just lack, the clinical finish. They lacked the killer instinct, and they couldn't make the most of their one-man advantage. That's the issue about Mali. And one thing Cote d'Ivoire did not expect against Mali was that Mali came at them from the first whistle. They didn't expect that. That's what Nigeria should have also done. They should have learned from Mali and actually attacked. What Nigeria should have even done, the one thing that they could have learned from Mali is that, we go at them, and we'll do better than Mali. We'll actually be more clinical in our finishing. Use our opportunities to great effect and actually punish them for their defensive errors. But they didn't do that. They were just more content on sitting back. And that's one thing about Nigeria. I mean, that's just not a smart way to go about things. You can't always want to win by a narrow margin. You can't always want to be winning based on luck. It doesn't work like that in football. I mean, this is a final. In a final, you should go at it, right? Yes, I guess it's, mistakes. You don't want to make mistakes. I get that. But at the same time, you should always remember you're Nigeria, man. You understand? You've got nothing to lose yourself, right? You're the Super Eagles. You guys you have won this trophy twice, right? So it does not really matter whether now that Cote d'Ivoire have got the home crowd to their advantage. Yes, you are the Super Eagles of Nigeria. You've also got the players that can do the job. So that was just poor, that was just a poor tactical display from Pizarro. And you know what? The game was won based on the midfield. It was won based on the midfield. Fofana, Seri, as well as Casey. That midfield was too strong for Nigeria. Lookman was not allowed space to play. The Ivorians did so well to contain Ademola Lookman. Osimhen, he was in the game quite often going in the wars, but he just could not affect the game much for the Super Eagles. He just couldn't. But hey, man, what an incredible game of football that was to watch, man. What an incredible game of football that was, right? And another thing is that this Ivorian team, they deserved it. Give credit to the special one, the genius on the touchline. Give credit to him. Faye. Emerson Faye. Give credit to Emerson Faye. He was the assistant coach ahead of this tournament. I guess Ivory Coast, they did not live to regret leaving out Wilfred Zaha. They did not regret leaving out Eric Bailly, as well as who? Ahmed Diallo. Those are the three key players that they left out from the squad. But look, it didn't really mean much, actually, because look, they went on to win it on home soil. Didier Drogba was in excitement. He just could not contain his excitement. And guess what? Right? Emerson Faye, now he's crowned the best coach. He won the best coach award. Deservedly so. Right? I mean, we'll actually get more into detail later on that run. Right? Obviously, top goal scorer was Emilio Insue, right? Of Equatorial Guinea, finishing with 5 goals, right? And remember now, what does this actually mean? Remember now that Nigeria lost again in the final. This now means that Nigeria, they've, lost 5 of their 8 AFCON finals, Only Ghana have lost as many as Nigeria in the AFCON final. So Nigeria have lost 5 AFCON finals out of 8 in 8 appearances. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's not a wantable record. To say the least, that's not a record that you would want. You don't want that record at all. But yeah, the Nigeria captain, William Trust Ekong, he won player of the tournament, deservedly so. As he's the one who actually opened the scoring in the final with a brilliant header. And he actually scored 2 from the spot, including against Cote d'Ivoire. And he also helped his side in the shootouts, in the semi-finals, right? Goalkeeper, Mamelodi Sundowns goalkeeper and Bafana Bafana goalkeeper Ronan Williams, right? One goalkeeper of the tournament, despite the fact that there was so much debate with regards to that. Others felt that, Noah Bali actually deserved it, the Nigerian shot stopper, right? And we also saw that Bafana Bafana won the Fair Play Trophy, right? And Bafana Bafana captain Ronan Williams was there to step up and actually receive the trophy for Bafana Bafana, right? So, I mean, that was deservedly. Bafana Bafana also did very well at the tournament, right? They did so well. And the CAF flag was actually handed to Morocco. The North African nation will host the 2025 African Cup of Nations, next year. And the Confederation of African Football flag is passed between dignitaries from both, was passed between the dignitaries from both the federations on stage, right? And we also saw the Ivory Coast president, Alassane Ouattara. He was there joining in the celebrations with the players in the stadium, because that stadium holds his name, and he was wearing an orange cap alongside his orange shirt, and he was fully among the players ahead of the trophy presentation. So, but hey, he looks like a dictator. I don't even understand why the stadium was named after him, because it seems like he has never really done anything special for his country. But look, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you really loved this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. What an incredible AFCON tournament this was. There's going to be a documentary coming up, right? There's going to be a documentary. There's going to be a book, as well as there's going to be magazine on sale. Check out for that one.